beautiful.
Hello, lovers of the world. This is Cinta speaking. So, I really love reviewing music. I'm not saying I'm the best at it. I'm very aware that my musical analysis is very amateurish, especially since most of the time I'm just going, I like the song, I don't like the song. But nonetheless, I enjoy doing it, which is why I consistently post my monthly music reviews every month. However, every so often, an artist that I love and respect will release a project that I think is too short for those monthly music reviews. But I still want to talk about them. So I decided to gather enough of these projects to fit into their own, video. I'm going to be talking about a variety of singles and releases that have come out since the beginning of the year. By the way, I have been holding on to these thoughts since the beginning of 2023, so a lot of the songs that I'll be covering may seem a bit like old at this point, but I still wanted to talk about them. I still wanted a space and an avenue to express how I felt about them. So I'll start from the, earliest song that has been released and just work my way down to the most recent one that I heard. First, I listened to XG's comeback, Shooting Star. Now, this comeback, not just Shooting Star, but Left Right as well, has pretty much established itself as, I think, one of the comebacks of the year. I think everybody has more or less agreed that these two songs are like, the day that I'm filming this, I had just seen footage basically of Jackson and Sierra doing a remix of this at Coachella, which is like the biggest music festival in all of Western pop music. And so I feel like that speaks volumes in terms of how popular and how ubiquitous XG has become. From the moment I heard Shooting Star, let's talk about Shooting Star first. The moment I heard Shooting Star, I knew that it was going to be my personality for the rest of the year. Like, no joke, I'm not joking when I say that it literally pulled me out of a depressive episode. Like, it was the beginning of the year and I was down in the dumps, and then I heard this song and I was like, you know what? Maybe everything will be okay. Like, everything about it is just so wonderful. Like, not just the song itself, but like the choreography, the styling, the music video. It is a song that will kind of continue to gain traction as time goes on. I love that there's like two distinct vibes that is kind of at play in the track itself. So you've got the more aggressive rap-centric verses coupled with the smooth, groovier pre-chorus and chorus aspects of the song, and I think they work really well together. For Left Right, it is basically just like a perfectly executed R&B song that you can't really like find any fault in. It's basically, there's no way that it wasn't going to be a hit. It's just like a perfect song. Moving on to Second Wind by BSS. So this is a subunit project by DK, Songkwon, and Hoshi from 17. I think it's a pretty good debut for a subunit. I think it's interesting that I feel like this is sort of the year where all these older groups are kind of branching off and doing, I guess, more solo projects and more subunit projects. Anyway, I'll get back into that a bit later when I talk about Mamamoo. But anyway, Fighting is a really fun and silly title track. It's a quirky and very endearing, charming song. It definitely doesn't take itself too seriously, but the lyrics seem very sincere. So I really appreciate kind of that dichotomy that it's got going on. It hasn't really stuck in my heavy rotation that much, but I do appreciate it for what it is. As for the B-sides, Lunge, I think is a cheeky, fun track that kind of follows up really, really well with the energy that was started by Fighting. Something about it is like mischievous, kind of like, hey girl, like, yeah, so I think it's cute. And then the way it ends is with 7 p.m., a soft acoustic-y pop song whose greatest strength and also its greatest weakness is its simplicity. Personally, I think it could have fallen into the trap of being quite forgettable, but that's why the feature is so important, because Peder Elias' voice has great chemistry with the 17 boys' voices. Man, hard to say that, boys' voices. So I'm glad I don't have to say that anymore, because we're moving on to Love War by Yana. So this is really interesting. This project has 3 tracks. 1 is a short intro and 2 actual proper tracks. I think this is a really interesting 180 switch that Yana has done, because her debut song and her first comeback were very upbeat, very, saccharine, cutesy pop, bubblegum pop, girly pop songs. And now she's kind of switched to this darker, a bit more mature R&B project that I think really pays off. I'm not going to talk about the intro because that's irrelevant. Wash Away, I think, is a track that establishes Yena's ability to convey anguish. I feel like she's kind of hinted at it in her past comebacks, but I think this is the moment where I feel like she really shines in being able to convey sadder emotions. And then Love War, obviously, is the title track. I personally think the highlight of the song is the clever play on words of Love War, Lover, and It's Over. This title track didn't really stay too long in my heavy rotation, but that's okay. This is just like a stepping stone, I think, in Yena's bigger discography as she matures as an artist. However, I am going to be very interested in what her next song is going to be. This wasn't promoted as in the usual way that that an idol, K-pop idol comeback had been promoted. So I don't think I saw live performances on music shows, and there was no choreography. So this has the feel of an unofficial comeback. It's kind of just like a side project that she's done. So I'm curious if whether the next official idol comeback that she's gonna do is that going to go revert back to the cutesy girly bubblegum pop stuff that she's done in the past, or is she going to develop this mature side more? We'll see, time will tell. Then we're gonna move on to Teddy Bear, which is Stacey's Korean comeback of the year. Now personally, Teddy Bear isn't actually what I wanted or expected from Stacey, especially at this point in their career. But I think it makes sense because I think they do have a bit of a pattern going on. My idea of Stacey's musical identity is songs like So Bad, Run to You, but every now and then these songs do pop up that are cutesy like ASAP, Stereotype, Teddy Bear. And so I think that probably in their next comeback, they'll kind of probably do something a lot more mature and something a little bit more similar to those two comebacks in the past. So I don't know, that's just my expectation, but I don't know. That's enough talking about Stacey because now we're going to move on to The Beginning, Cupid, which is the single album by 50/50. I must confess that every time I log into Instagram, I feel as though I have been waterboarded with this song. I'm conflicted because I appreciate that everybody is obsessed with the song, but I am also sick of every 4 reels in my scrolling session be a song where somebody's going, I'm feeling lonely. Oh, I wish I found a lover that could hold me. I'm sick of it, guys. I'm sick of it. I mean, I think we can all agree that it's one of the better K-pop comebacks that have come out this year because of how viral it's become. But I actually really like the English version slightly more because, one, I don't think that they needed the rap for the song in the first place. But I do appreciate that the rap is there because I know that the rap verse was written by one of the members, and I think that they deserve to add their own input into their own music. However, personally, I just prefer the English version because it doesn't have the rap and because it is the English version and it is a lot easier to sing along to. Moving on to the Love or Die remixes. If you are a loyal subscriber, maybe you will remember me talking about TNX's comeback, Love Never Dies, Love or Die, one of those. And their company did something really fascinating, which is that they got the title track and had other people remix it. And I wanted to talk about these remixes for so long, and so here I am. And I wanted to talk about them in the order of which I actually favor them in. So I'll talk about my favorite remix and my least favorite remix. The Emmett Sound remix of Love or Die is probably my favorite one out of the 4. So I think it's my favorite because it's so unexpected. Obviously, you listen to Love or Die and you're like, okay, this is the vibe. And then Emmett Sound takes that vibe and is like, let's go for something completely different. I love that it's so different to the original because it's so unique. Even though it's so different, it works so well because I love the chorus. Basically, the Emmett Sound remix is this like hype festival EDM remix where it would totally fit into somebody's DJ rave set, you know, like the chorus where they go love, 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 die, 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 die. It's so ravecore. Not that I would know what it's like to be in a rave. I'm such a square. But that repetition of the same phrase over and over is very much part of the rave scene, I'm pretty sure. Like, kind of like puts you in this hypnotic trance. When you listen to the song, you get this vibe of you loving and dying in a cycle while you're in a mosh pit crowd. It's so interesting. Moving on to my second favorite remix, it is the Glenn Check version. So this one is a close second for the opposite reasons why I like the first remix. So even though I loved the first remix because of how different it was to the original, I actually really like the second remix because of how close it is to the original in a sense that they are operating in the same genre convention. Glenn Check just leans more heavily into the pop punk influences that the song had, to the point that it is just simply a pop punk song. As for the Soul remix, which ranks third in this ranking, I don't think it's a good fit for me, but I can appreciate that it exists. I can appreciate the experimenting that they've done to get to this point. And lastly, my least favorite remix is the Rad Museum version. I gotta say, it is certainly unique, and that's all I can really say about it. And now we're gonna move on to Limelight's comeback, which had 3 songs in their comeback. Limelight basically lied by saying that it was an album, but really it's 3 songs, and the rest of the tracks are just instrumental versions of the first 3 songs. So false advertising for sure, but whatever. The title track is honestly a really, really good song. I love that it's got the same vibes as Monsta X's English songs, which is a huge compliment, by the way. And I think honestly was the best choice in terms of choosing between the 3 songs that they had for this comeback. Blanc Noir and Crystal, both are okay, but they sound like title tracks that a girl group would release, and it would just fade into the background amidst the bloodbath of other girl group title track releases. So I'm really, really glad that they decided to go with Honestly, because I think even if Limelight is still a new group, it is still so different compared to what everything else I've heard in terms of the girl group comebacks. And if they had gone with either Blanc Noir or Crystal, I think I would have forgotten about them as well. But because they chose Honestly, definitely stay in my heavy rotation for a bit longer. We're gonna move on to a group who did fall into that trap of being forgettable, and that is Dream Note's comeback with Secondary Page. I was excited to hear that Dream Note was coming back with a comeback because they had been inactive, and that's why I was so excited for this, because I was just glad that they were getting more work. But unfortunately, I did not really appreciate their title track, Lemonade. I think it was boring, and it pains me to call it boring because I wish that I liked it so that I could better support them. But if it doesn't hit, it doesn't hit. It just misses. However, they did release a pre-release single, Broken, and I genuinely think that was a better song. And the sad part is that it's not really what the general public or overseas fans want from girl groups. I think it is a better song, but it is definitely not a good fit for K-pop in the sense that it's not gonna do them any favors, if that makes sense. But I would recommend people listen to Broken anyway, because I think it's a good song. Since we were talking about Lemonade, which is a drink, we're gonna move on to another drink, and that is Zero by New Jeans. Now, I didn't even realize that they were going to release a commercial song. So you can imagine my surprise when a music video on their channel dropped, and it was this. Now, personally, I actually really, really enjoy this song. I'm aware that for other people, they get taken out of the experience because of the chorus. Coca-Cola Mashita, Coca-Cola Mashita. Now, personally, I don't have that same problem because I think it's cute and catchy, it's silly, and that just fits into New Jeans' concept really well. So I wholeheartedly love and endorse the song, even if it is a commercial song. And then, speaking of more drinks, well, we've got The Beginning by Yeon, which has 2 tracks. Cherry Coke, which I love, by the way. I think it has a lot of personality and has a style that Yeon is able to flex her charisma and showcase her ability to deliver these really deliciously sassy lines. For this release, she did release a pre-release single called Strange Way to Love, and I personally thought it was nice too. Like, I like hearing Yeon go for this more sincere and slow vibe before she kind of goes hard on her actual title track. So I feel like it gives you a good amount of contrast. Now we're gonna move on to Mamamoo Plus and their single album Act 1 Scene 1. This is the first Mamamoo subunit, and as I mentioned earlier when I was talking about 17, now is the time that all these older groups are kind of branching off and doing more solo projects. To be fair, I know that they are doing this subunit because Solar and Myunbul are still signed to RBW. I actually don't know what Hwasa is up to, but I know Wheein, she is moved on from RBW and she is not going to be an active Mamamoo member as of the end of this year. But anyway, they have 3 songs that seriously could not be more different to each other. But if you're a huge Mamamoo fan, you're probably thriving right now because I think these songs showcase the versatility that Solar and Myunbul have. So of the 3, I would say I enjoy GGBB the most because it is the catchiest. And then I would say I like LLL the second because I like their lyrics and the sentiment, but the instrumentation isn't really hitting and it's nothing that I haven't heard of before. And lastly, I definitely dislike Chico Malo out of the 3. It's definitely not for me, and that is okay. And last but not least, we have a last minute contender with Showdown by Alice. Now, I didn't even know that Alice was coming back. My friend mentioned that they liked their new comeback, and I'm like, what new comeback? Anyway, I was a bit confused in the beginning because I didn't realize that 2 of their members are on hiatus, and I watched the music video and I was like, why? There's something off. Showdown by Alice has 2 tracks, Showdown, the title track, and Dizzy, which is a B-side. Now, personally, I think Showdown is better than Dance On. It's got the same energy, but I think I just like it a little bit more. But I don't really see Showdown ending up in my heavy rotation, and that's okay. And as for Dizzy, it is an adequate piece that they can use to promote themselves on music shows. But neither, I don't think, will end up in my heavy rotation, and I don't think I will remember it after this. However, I am really happy that they're being more active. Obviously, they had like a really, really long hiatus before Dance On, and so I'm just praying that they kind of keep this momentum going. So that's all the songs I wanted to talk about today. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble. Now I'm going to go edit this. As you can see, I've got the 1975 t-shirt on because guess what? I'm going to their concert tomorrow. Wow! Everybody wish me a happy concert experience. I love the 1975. Anyway, if you enjoyed my random, unhinged, chaotic music reviews, feel free to subscribe. All my social media links are down in the description if you want to follow me there. And if you want to support me financially, you're welcome to go and follow my Patreon and my coffee pages, which is also down in the description. I'll see you guys next week. I feel unhinged. Okay. Coca-Cola Mashita. Okay. And now we're gonna move. Okay, that's enough.